Looky here, you. This is the new Steam page. I really don't know why they're doing it like this. Like, I okay. I remember. See, I remember recording all of these videos where I'm just like staring at Steam with my phone on my laptop and then just talking into it aimlessly about nonsense. And I really liked those laptop videos. I really liked the feeling of just sitting down, pointing the camera at a random thing in your lap, and then just going. Because it's the most human and raw expression of this lifestyle that you could possibly show. You know, what is denpa other than being disconnected from other people and the world around you? And what is the most disconnected thing you could do in a YouTube video? It's break all conventions of what normally a YouTube video would be. And so, what I did in so many of these videos, and this was influenced by No Thank You quite heavily, was I just filmed random stuff that, like, most people would sit there and think, okay, this is absolutely not how you should make a video, but I did it anyway. And I tried to think, under these specific conventions, how can I make this video interesting? How does the content that I'm producing, like, in my speech, match up to the content that's being shown visually? And I ended up focusing more on the conversational part of it. But at the same time, like, I think there is value to having videos that are just that plain, because I think for a lot of denpa out there, for a lot of needs hikikomori, any of these strata of online denizens who feel alienated from the rest of the world, they want to find something that resonates with them. I mean, I think this is why so many of us go to, like, R9K, is because when we read R9K, we see other people who are similar, and it feels kind of vindicating, almost, to listen to people who have a similar story, to know that you're not alone in the world. I mean, that was kind of how I got my start on YouTube, was watching creators who had similar interests to me, similar mindsets to me, and then following in their footsteps, because now I wanted to share the feeling that I got from watching their videos with other people. So I liked that. And I liked the act of making things. So I think what Denpa Tube, and just what Denpa itself is about, on the contemporary internet space, places like YouTube, places like here, image boards and other means of communicating with one another on the internet, Denpa content more specifically, is about creating something that resonates. It's about creating something that in its very, in its very core, in, like, what it's made out of, in what it's in the way that it's filmed, in the way that the ideas are being expressed, and the ideas that are being expressed, trying to have those things all coalesce with one another, come together in a way that connects with people who are of a similar mindset, And so I like to think about all these little things, because when I make the video, I don't really think about those things. I just do them. But afterwards, when it's released, I start thinking about, what does this mean? Why is it that, all of us on here, No Thank You, Red, HMR, Eggy, go back as far as Hiki-chan, why is it that this strata of people on the internet have content styles that mirror one another, that have a lot of the same things going on? Obviously there's differences, but the general attitude, like, the same philosophy is there in most cases. Why is that? And I start thinking about these things, and it's really interesting to me. And so, you can take something as simple as, like, I'm just going to film my screen here, take out my phone and start talking into it, and then end up finding all these other little ideas that are entrenched within it. I've always thought stuff like that was really cool. But I think it's some of the most comfy content, because it is just literally like a guy right there being as raw and genuine as they can be. But that genuinity in and of itself isn't the thing that you're coming to the video for. It's part of it. It's a big part of it. But what if you have like, let's say like a 60-year-old mom or something making a video that's in the same style, that's the most genuine. I look around at obscure YouTube channels a lot, and one of the channels I found by total accident, just by like going through comment sections and looking at people's channels trying to find things, was this YouTube channel called Lisa Howard. And it's like this 50-year-old woman. She's really old, and she's just sitting there on, in the YouTube sense at least. We don't have very many older people making videos, so that's my point. But she's just sitting there on her tablet, talking into it about random stuff. Like, the video titles are completely incoherent. They don't make any sense. She has all of these weird series that, like, I would look at and I would go, this makes no sense on YouTube whatsoever, because I watch YouTube, and I analyze the patterns. I grew up on that stuff. And so seeing this like older person come on there and then making like this very, very raw, to the bone kind of content just about, being an old woman, I don't find particularly interesting. I do have some things like that I do think are pretty cool, from people with just completely different backgrounds and ideas, and it allows me to understand them better. But by and large, like, I'm not going to come to, a really like normie old person's YouTube channel who's making the most raw, quote unquote, most genuine content. Whereas if I look at someone who's clearly an image board user, someone who's just weird, has kind of idiosyncratic denpa-esque beliefs and a way of life, and I look at their channel and I'm looking at them do this most raw, genuine expression of YouTube, it's more cathartic, because in the other case, you look at this person who's producing these videos who's like a complete normie, and you just think they're dumb, It's like, if you're going to be a complete normie, then try to make your videos creative at least. Try to do something with that. You end up looking at them and thinking, oh, well, they're just being incompetent. That's why their videos are like this. And that can be kind of interesting for like 5 minutes, but after you go off of it, it's not really impactful. But when you find people who are in that strata of people who are very, very weird, who are on the outliers of society, someone like Johnny Alpha Seed, I like his videos because when I watch this guy who's like homeless, in a tent, just talking about the way that he lives his life, posting a video of like a DXM trip or something. I think that's really cool, because this is a unique way of life that we don't often get the perspective on. Watching someone like Zabujard or Mr. Daggers, Mr. Daggers, he'll produce like an hour video of him basically just dissociating from everything around him, rambling on about stuff that oftentimes doesn't even make sense. But he's from that image board, denpa strata, even though his videos in many ways aren't really comparable to like mine or Zabujard's. They nonetheless fall into that category. They have the similar rawness of, him just picking around the stuff in his room and throwing all this random stuff around in this broken down room tour that he's doing before he moves. He has a random clip in there of him laying down on his old bed and getting stabbed by the metal prongs that are coming out of it because the bed is breaking down. Little details like that aren't intended but are there nonetheless. Like, they aren't always done for a reason, they just are. They just are there. And I think that kind of rawness, that kind of genuinity is far more interesting with people who are on the outliers of society, or who are denpa. And so, when I look at denpa tube now, and I look at what it represents, this sort of new trend, this new tendency in content creation, that's attempting to genuinely and genuinely down to, using KindMaster and stuff, using the most bare bones equipment that you just have in your garage, conveying an idea, conveying who you are in the most raw possible way. I think it only adds to the denpa element of it because, not only are the things that you're saying denpa, it's also the content that's produced as denpa, the way it's produced as denpa. Other people wouldn't do it that way, and it creates this synergy of elements together that produces a really great synthesis that I think is pretty beautiful. So this is my favorite thing to make and watch. So all of my favorite YouTube content is like this. Part of me feels a little bit weird for taking Hiki-chan off the 3x3 because in a way she still belongs there, but in another way I like that other guy's videos more. Things to ponder today.